Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious Steve. Joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Delicious Dwaylon Davis.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, that's right. Because Kyle has been giving me some good suggestions for the names, and so I've been trying them out, in private. But this one, I already had this one already set up. So
Yeah.
But I will start, try to use the other names because he went to the trouble of giving to me. So
Right. So you got to try them out.
I got to try them out. I mean, and today is going to be one of the freshest news episodes we've ever done. Of course, the freshest news we did, unfortunately, was when Scott Hall passed away.
Right.
That was kind of an emotional one. I'd admit I was the one getting emotional. But this one is going to be about the NXT UK. We've never covered NXT UK, but
nope.
A lot of news coming out about them.
Yeah. They are apparently going on a hiatus soon and going to be rebranded into NXT Europe.
Yep. Which is going to be interesting. And I think, like we were talking before, I think it is a pretty good idea because it's going to be more all-encompassing of Europe and not just the UK. So it's all of mainland Europe, which if you're over there, you know why UK itself is a nice little island,
right?
But then you have the rest of Europe, pretty much starting with France, because they're the closest ones.
Yeah.
And then moving off there, because they've already got a pretty good presence in Germany. They've already got some wrestlers coming out of obviously Switzerland with Cesaro. I mean, obviously, he's not in WWE anymore, but coming out of Switzerland, coming out of the Netherlands.
Yep.
And coming out of some of the other countries. So it does make sense to do that, to kind of bring everybody in, because the WWE is really a truly international brand.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the talent that they have, like even like just main roster talent. And you've got people from, all different countries. And so I feel like the rebranding at NXT Europe is going to encompass a lot more people than UK. NXT UK they had other people besides just people from the UK, but just hearing it, for that casual fan that they try to reel in, just hearing that, you're thinking, oh, well, it's just going to be UK wrestlers.
Yep. And so we're going to be covering all that, plus more. And there's actually something special I'm going to do here in a second. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and give our contact and listening info. If you would like to email us about any kind of suggestions, please do. At armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/armchairbookingpodcast. You can find us on Instagram at armchairbookingpodcast. You can find us on TikTok at armchairbookingpodcast. But you can find us on Twitter at bookingarmchair. You can find us on YouTube. This if you're watching us. You can also find us on just about any audio platform there is. If we're not there, let me know. Let Dwaylon know. We will do what we can to get ourselves added. I found out about another platform yesterday, which I think is kind of interesting. YouTube Music.
Yes.
Yeah, didn't know they did the podcast thing. So got to figure
out.
I didn't know
they did the podcast thing. I knew they had a separate like YouTube Music app. It was like pre-installed on my phone when I got it.
Right. Did it have the YouTube album with it? Did it have a YouTube album with it, or was that just Apple that?
No, that was just Apple that slid in that YouTube album.
Never got so mad about getting something free in my life. Anyway.
Well, when it eats up like a lot of your storage space,
yeah,
and then you delete it and then it comes back.
And it came back. I got to go delete it out of the cloud because nobody understands the cloud. But either way, there's YouTube Music. We're going to try. That's going to be the next one to try to get on. Okay. I think the holy grail for us would be the Sirius XM podcast channel.
Yes,
that would be cool. That's going to take a lot of doing, but that is a pretty. It's a stretch goal, but it's a goal.
Yeah.
But you can find our merch at tpublic.com/user/armchair-booking-podcast. You can find Dwaylon at fat_daddy73 on Twitter. You can also find his social media, Big and Fat, on YouTube and TikTok. You can find my other podcast called The Cubicle Chat. You can find that just about any audio platform as well. And you can find that Twitter at @cubicle_chat. And that's actually, when I recorded yesterday, my guest
Mhm.
there as an old friend of mine from when I was stationed my last base in England,
Mhm.
and he was the one actually told me about YouTube Music, and I was like, wow,
Okay. Okay.
like
See, I
so.
didn't think about them doing podcasts. I knew about it, but I thought they just did music. So I didn't think
Yeah, I
any.
mean the name says
Yeah.
what then I got to think it's like, well, it's kind of like Amazon Music.
Amazon Music, yeah. And they
Yeah,
do
so
podcasts, yeah.
yep. So in Amazon Music, I've been using them to listen to the band called the Midnight here lately. I'm kind of stuck on that band for a little bit. Check them out. I
That the
mean,
one is that the one your daughter introduced you to?
yeah, I mean they sound like an '80s movie soundtrack. That's actually their goal.
Oh,
Kind
okay.
of synth wave. I mean, and they're not heavy. I mean, at all. But I mean, it's a lot of keyboards. They do have some great guitar playing. But I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, just check them out. It's kind of relaxing. Now, if you're driving on and you listen to it, you need to like watch your speed because you'll feel yourself all of a sudden you're looking there going, man, I'm going 105 miles an hour. But my sister a couple months ago told me about something that she found while she and her friend, he's a boy, he's a friend. I dare say boyfriend, but Kim, you need to tell me what's going on. But she sent me this, and I decided not to open it until we actually got on air. And she said it was a magazine that she found and asked me, "Do you want it?" And I was like, "Well, does a hobby horse have wooden feet?" And
Exactly. It's like
yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's wrestling. Send it to me.
yeah. And man, she packaged it. She taped this thing up good. And it is, as soon as I can get it open. Oh wow. It's an aftermag. It is Sports Review Wrestling, the 1979 annual. This is the
Oh
awards.
wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Check. Oh, dude. I mean, this feels like an unboxing,
Yeah.
because it kind of literally is. Um, and the very top corner is something that is no longer in professional wrestling, and as far as I'm concerned, never should have been involved in professional wrestling. Apartment wrestling.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. So it even advertises on the front: most hated wrestler, Ric Flair; most popular wrestler, Dusty Rhodes;
Okay.
match of the year, Bob Backlund wins the WWF title from Billy Graham. That is right
Yep.
there. That's at
Yep.
the bottom. Let me see some of the other. Oh wow, these advertisements are. Ooh, wow. A picture of Mr. Wrestling 2 versus Terry Funk. And now, for those of you who are not, if you're audio only, you got to go check out the YouTube channel just to see this. And by the way, while you're there, hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button because we are trying to get that magical number of 100, so we can actually change the URL to where it says Armchair Booking Podcast
Yep.
instead of a bunch of random letters. Some of these advertisements used to be in other magazines, but I see get in on the profits of small engine repair. Do you remember those?
Yeah, I do remember those. Yeah. My dad used to get the old oversized black and white Conan comics,
Okay.
and they used to have those ads in
Yep.
them.
Another picture of Ricky Steamboat versus Holly Race.
Okay.
Yep, kind of cool. Ultimate self-defense when your life is on the line. Black Avenger, the night. What is this? What is this supposed to be? It's a defense device. It's a stick. It's not. Okay. When your life is on the line, Black Avenger. I'm guessing it's like a nightstick or something. I don't know.
I guess they have it in the old Blaxapolitan. The ad looks like the old Blaxapolitan movies.
Oh Lord. Blaxapolity. I've heard blaxploitation. I've never heard Blaxapolitan. Another picture of Bruno and Superstar. I remember these too. This whole show is gonna be me showing this magazine if I'm not careful. But remember those, trying to
Yeah.
get. I don't know of anybody who actually used those. Actually, you know what? If Kyle's watching this, he could probably tear some of this up because I mean he's
Oh yeah.
a power lifter. So let me find some. Man, there's a calendar in here and Andre the Giant versus Luke Graham.
Really?
Yeah. So, wrestling is greatest subscription deal. I can get The Wrestler and Inside Wrestling, 24 sensational issues for only $20. I'm gonna send this in and see what happens. So, back issues. I mean, I always saw this and I always wanted to get them and never did though. Here's the apartment wrestling. Oh, what is this? Seriously.
It was the late 70s, dude.
I mean, wow, 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 wow. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, this is. I'm not even going to read the stuff.
I mean, that's the music you think of when you see the pictures. It's
Yep.
like,
yeah. Now some of this, I mean, it is kind of. Yeah, it's definitely taking me back. Most hated wrestler, most improved, Dino Bravo.
okay.
Tag team. Wow, tag team of the year. Ricky Steamboat and Paul Jones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I forgot he tagged with Paul Jones.
Yep. And I've met Ricky Steamboat. Nice guy. Of course, Dusty. Match of the year, Backlund Graham. Wrestler of the year, Dusty Rhodes.
Was he the American Dream yet?
It says the Dream on his trunks there, so I'm gonna guess he probably was. Yep. Yeah, I see in the paragraph it says American Dream. Inspirational Wrestler of the Year, Blackjack Mulligan.
If your inspiration is beating the crap out of somebody, I mean,
yeah. Wow, how about this? Rookie of the Year, Tommy Rich.
Wildfire Tommy Rich.
Yep. By the way, you see that belt right there? That man who I just showed, he signed it. So, Manager of the Year, Arnold Skoland.
Oh wow.
Yep. And just think a couple years after that, he threw in the towel.
Well, yep. So the Iron Sheik could win the title. Yep.
Yep. So, and the rest is I forgot magazines, what newspapers still do it, I guess, where you're reading a story, it says continued on page whatever, and you're like, you find it. Let me see if there's anything else worth it. Trying to no, I'm not seeing anything except for all the back issues that I wish I could have, but and here's the most ultimate advertisement of all time. I know you remember this one.
Oh, Big Muscles in 7 days. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The insult that made a man out of Mac.
Yeah.
What is this dude's name? Charles Atlas.
Yep.
Oh, well, that is actually pretty cool. So I am going to put this back in the little sheath here. And yeah, so we did an unveiling. I mean, that's a first for the show.
Yep.
But yeah, the 1979 annual, which is actually kind of fitting in a way because the very first magazine, that wrestling magazine I ever bought, was the Pro Wrestling Illustrated for the awards for 1984.
Cool.
Yep. Because at that point they moved it to PWI, and so sports review wrestling is not even a thing anymore. The only after mag, and there's not even after anymore, but the only after mag out there now still is Pro Wrestling Illustrated. That's the only one.
Yep.
And my sister Kim, she just texted me back. She says, "Sweet, it's not the greatest shape, but it's not too bad." I mean, like it was actually pretty decent shape.
Yeah.
Let's see. And to go text her, and then we got to get the show on the road. We just went through it. Yes, I'm narrating my text again. Through it, and wow. Okay. Recording now. Don't call me. Unless you want to be on Zoom.
Right.
To get on Zoom and say hi to Dwaylen. Okay. So there. So all right. and see if she's responding. We may have a visitor. I don't know. Unscheduled, but she stays busy too. But then again, I also stay busy. I actually had my friend Randy at church asked me the other day. He said, "Do you believe in downtime at all?" And I was like, "Here lately, no, not really." Oh, she wants the Zoom link. All right, I'll email it to you. All right, and let me. Well, apparently, we may have somebody else joining us. Maybe. But anyway, so while we're waiting for my sister, who you have not seen in probably 30 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Let's see. Come on now. There we go. I'm telling her to check her Hotmail. All right, just send it to your Hotmail. And I'm pretty sure, even if I send it to her her office address, she won't get it till tomorrow. And we're not going to be recording then. You know, so so anyway, we're talking about the NXT. Well, there she. Wow, she's quick. Hello, sister of mine.
Hello, brother of mine.
Hello, and are you talking to me or are you talking to Dwaylen?
Both, I guess.
Hey, how you doing? It's been a long time.
I know.
Yeah, just remember, keep the language family friendly, please.
Well, you know me.
Yeah, I know you. That's what I'm saying. Keep the language family friendly. And I also know you're a barber, so we have to tell people, hey, yeah. So I was just telling Dwaylen, I said, yeah, you haven't seen my sister in probably 30 years, and actually, you know what? The last time I saw Terrence, you were also there, because it was actually when you got married.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was the last time I saw Terrence, and man, he made me feel pretty small.
Oh yeah, he makes me feel small.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we just went through the magazine that you sent me. Thank you very much. This was actually kind of cool, especially because did you tell me it was an awards issue?
No. I think that the guy kept it because of what's in that top right corner there.
Yeah, we talked about that for a little bit.
Yeah. We think that that's why, because there were some other magazines in that same box.
Oh, okay.
That were not wrestling. Well, there were some other wrestling magazines in the area, but there were several other magazines in that area.
Yeah. we keep it family friendly and go, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
sorry, I'm about like getting ready for bed. So
sorry.
Yeah,
I guess it is about that time, isn't it? We're going to be recording probably for about another hour. So because we got a lot to talk about. It's what we do every Thursday, every Monday. But yeah, so this is you haven't even watched or listened to the podcast, and yet now you're on it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm a horrible sister.
Well, I wasn't going to say that yet. But yeah, so think your guy, your man, your friend, Nate.
Well, it was both of us cleaning out the attic.
Yeah.
So
yep. So he bought a house, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what it was. I couldn't remember why exactly you were cleaning the house. But yeah, so they cleaned the house and they found that, and of course she says, yeah, she automatically thinks of me. By the way, do you see the belt?
Yes.
Yeah, she even knows. Yeah, she knows what's up.
I know.
Yeah. Don't let her fool you. She used to watch it sometimes too, and so did our mom. Our mom had her favorites. She loved Manny Fernandez and Magnum TA.
I was kind of forced to watch it, and then would cry whenever you would make my dolls wrestle.
Well, you know what? They had to wrestle. So, but anyway, you got to get to bed now. So, Yeah, I didn't have my own wrestling figures, so you use whatever was
Yeah,
available.
You gotta use what's there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
And
anyway,
and the little too. You
the little what?
practice
The
the
little
little
what?
sister practice on the little sister.
You know what? Little sister put me in a headlock sometimes. Little sister punched me in the throat a couple times. And
Oh yeah,
so,
we practice wrestling on each other. I've been
Yep.
putting the figure 4.
mhm.
Kind of power bombed my brother on the bed and broke the middle slat, and
Oh, how well did that go over with your mom?
she didn't know.
Oh,
She knew. Okay, I take that back because my mom knew everything. I think she knew, but she never said anything because we fixed it. So we fixed it before she
okay.
ever got home. So
Well,
Yeah.
Yep. So, but anyway, thank you, Kim. I really do appreciate this. This was actually, this made my day. I mean, it really did. You know, because we were
Good.
looking through some of the. We looked. I mean, because it's an awards thing. I mean, honestly, having it be the awards thing made it even better. Because we're looking at the most hated wrestler, the wrestler of the year, which was Dusty Rhodes, and he's the most popular wrestler of the year, and you know he's dead now, and most hated wrestler of the year, Ric Flair, just had supposedly his last match.
Right. And that's why I also sent it. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because he's in there too.
Yep. So Ric Flair, who held that belt for many years.
yeah,
Or at least the real belt of that belt. I mean, that's
The real, yeah.
Yeah, that belt right there is signed though by another guy who's in the rookie of the year from this magazine. Tommy Rich actually signed that. Yeah, I was right
so
there
you
when.
should put that.
Yeah, I know it. It's going to go right there with it. You know, so along with Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. Remember him? He was my favorite wrestler for a little bit. Even though it's handsome. Yep. So, but all right. And by the way, where's my nephew?
In his bedroom.
Is he already in bed?
He's just sitting there.
Okay, I want to say hi to him real quick before we have to get off.
Logan.
Yeah, Dwayne. I used to be the tallest on my mom's side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore.
You're going to be on a podcast, so I'm just going to show your.
Hey.
What is all this on his face? What is all that?
I know. It's been a while.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So.
Hold on.
Wow.
Hold on just a second. What?
I could not grow a beard like that until I was, I think, like 37.
I was gonna say I was in my 30s before I was able to grow a beard. I tried forever and it just didn't work.
And he is 17.
Yeah. By the way, are those all Boy Scout patches back there?
Yes.
Yeah. He got his Eagle Scout a few months ago.
Yeah, he's
cool.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you can see that. Hold on.
Yep. Let me see it. And this will be on YouTube, by the way. So just letting you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Here you go, Logan.
All right.
You can hold it.
There he goes.
Yep, I'm here now.
He has the shirt on now. Yeah.
Yay. I mean, even though it's a wrestling podcast, and Kim sent me this magazine. Did he see the magazine before you sent it, Kim?
I think he briefly saw it.
Me?
Okay. Yeah. So the wrestling magazine
in that we found it. That Nate and I found in the attic.
I don't remember seeing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You don't remember? Hold on, I got to do something real quick. There it is. Okay. I had to get a picture. I'm at to send this to Avery and say this is your cousin. And by the way, you know where Avery is now. I'm assuming.
I'm trying to remember.
Disney.
Right, the Disney program. I remember that.
Yep, Disney College program. She is working in Hollywood studios, and on Sundays you may actually find her in there helping people build lightsabers.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
Yep. So, all right, but anyway, we do have to go ahead and say goodbye because we got to continue the wrestling part of the wrestling podcast. But good seeing you there, nephew.
Good seeing you too.
Yeah, good seeing their sister of mine. Love y'all.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you, Joylyn.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you.
Okay. Now that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've actually seen my nephew. Like, that's why I was like,
why is
what?
his voice deeper than ours?
I know. What's up with that? But yeah, I mean, and now granted, you couldn't really see how tall he was, but yeah, apparently he's like about 6'2".
Oh wow.
6'3", yeah. Yeah, he did finish his Eagle Scout, a few months ago.
Mhm.
And only like what 1% of scouts get that. I mean, that's an amazing accomplishment. So, me, I didn't even come close. But all right, so back to wrestling. NXT UK. Would you first sent me the link, and I was like, oh, okay. I had not heard anything about it, and to be honest with you, I don't know a ton about NXT UK, but just from like we're saying, the business aspect of it, it seems like they're starting to do a complete overhaul of it.
Mhm.
I mean, there's got to be a reason why they just released. Well, Kyle texted me. He said it's up to 15
Mhm.
wrestlers.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like with the Ring of Honor thing when they went on hiatus and everybody just kind of went, they kind of just basically released everybody and everybody was able to go wherever they wanted to go. I think WWE is just kind of thinning the ranks and seeing who they're going to use on regular NXT until they flesh out exactly how NXT Europe is going to, how it's going to run and what people they need and all, like that. Because it's like, this is one of those situations, and I hate to ever see anybody lose their job, but this is one of those situations where, I mean, it's like, where would that roster go? Because they wouldn't use everybody.
Right.
So,
and I don't want to say it's a justified thinning.
yeah.
But at the same time, their roster was it was too big. And
Yeah.
because, I mean, at one point, yeah, they did have a lot of stuff going on with NXT UK. Now, that part I did know. But I think you had texted me today and said, well, when COVID happened, of course, the UK locked down even tighter than the US did.
Yes. So, I mean, they were literally, they were still doing shows, but it was like when WWE was doing theirs in the Performance Center. Like, they didn't even have the Thunderdome type video wall type aspect. They were just literally doing shows in an empty arena. And I mean, title changes and everything, but they were literally happening in an empty arena. And then you had top talent leaving there, going over to regular NXT, like Pete Dunne, who was the second longest NXT UK champion ever. He ended up losing the title to Walter, and then Pete Dunne went to NXT, regular NXT full time. Walter held it, I think, for like 800 and some days. When he lost it, then he moves to the States and repackages Gunther, and all that. But it started out, I feel like NXT UK did, like, it started out as a brand in 2018.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
And it was when the British wrestling scene was super hot. Like, it was on fire. And they were scooping up every major, British talent, that they could. And I feel like I've always felt like, from a Vince McMahon standpoint, he saw how hot the British wrestling scene was. Let me scoop up all this talent and let me cripple that scene so they don't get a good foothold in pro wrestling. That's always seemed to be Vince's MO, was anytime anybody started planting their feet firm in pro wrestling, it's like, let me cripple that real quick and scoop up all their talent before they potentially become a problem for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what they did. And I mean, the shows were booked well in the beginning. They had good storylines. Some of them, some talent would cross over to regular NXT, but I think the pandemic really hurt them. And then, even with fans coming back and everything, it's been a new crop of talent that British fans are familiar with, but the way it's recorded, because it's taped, and then the shows are shown, weekly, but it's with the time difference and all that. I think it was hard for, especially the casual fan that they try to go for, to really pick it up and follow it. I mean, it is on the network, but at the same time, it's still kind of hard to follow.
And yeah, that time difference, that 5 hour time difference. I mean, it makes
a
does
big
make
difference. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, trust me. I mean, I know I was there for 6.5 years, and trying to plan things, trying to when you call people, and of course, if you're watching a TV show that's in the States, that also meant the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl didn't come on till 11:30 at night if you wanted to watch it live.
Yeah.
And and then for me, I had the choice: do I want to watch it on the Armed Forces Network,
Mm-hmm.
or where they don't show the commercials,
Right.
or do I want to watch it on the British thing where they still don't show the American commercials?
Right.
But
You get British commercials.
but I get British commercials, and they, like, the commentary they would have between like halves or whatever. I mean, they would actually have an American sports commentator talking, to a
Mhm.
British, and they would, and when they say, yeah, the Super Bowl has been broadcast in this country, this country, this country, this country, I mean, they're not lying. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. So
It's worldwide. Yeah.
yeah, but trying to keep up with something that is 5 hours behind you,
Mm-hmm.
where even the one football game, American football, I should say, the one American football game that I watched over in England, um, was in London at Wembley Stadium, and the Bears and the Buccaneers.
Right.
But but
Excuse
and
me.
of course, I mean, over there it started at like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever time it was. But of course, actually, it started around 4, because those games always came on at like 11,
Mm-hmm.
in Eastern time in the States. And I keep saying the 5 hour time difference. Keep forgetting you're another hour behind me, so it's a 6 hour time difference for you.
Yep.
And so those things, they make a big difference. Just kind of like the pay-per-views when they're held in Saudi Arabia. Over there, it's a normal evening pay-per-view or event. But
Yeah.
for us, they're coming on at lunchtime.
Yeah. They're coming on at lunchtime. Yeah.
And so well, like you were saying, when they do that, they have to record it,
Mm-hmm.
and then or it'll be on just a however many hour delay. Well, of course, this has to be recorded. So I mean, they put it on a delay for us. I mean, if they wanted to get it at normal time, it'll still be 5 hours, 6 hours. Well, it'll be 5 hours after the fact. I mean, no matter which
Right.
time zone you're in. So, but I still didn't know a lot of the wrestlers, and that's my fault too. I mean, because I would always have to catch it on the network. I'm like, all right, let me carve out some time to try to watch it on the network.
Right.
Right. And that's my fault for not doing that. But I do recognize some of the names that what we were just talking about.
And that's a hard thing too, because I mean, WWE has so much content as it is. Just WWE, not counting, the 3 hours of AEW on TV. Plus, if you watch, Dark and Elevation on YouTube, Impact. If you're a fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling, there's so much wrestling content right now. There's only so much time in a day between work and family and different things to watch wrestling. So it's like, I feel like NXT UK was one of those shows that kind of fell through the cracks, because there's only so much time people have to watch so much wrestling. Like WWE's got 2 hours of NXT, 2 hours of SmackDown. They've got 3 hours of Raw. That's 7 hours of TV right there, not counting pay-per-views or NXT specials. And then you've got, NXT UK, which I feel like after the initial boost when they first started, maybe that first year, I feel like they weren't promoted as well as they should have been, especially, again, WWE's always trying to reach that casual fan, but it's like you've got this other brand over here that you're not promoting to the casual fan. So, wrestling fans are going to know some of these people, but the casual fan isn't going to know anybody. So you've got to, they should have promoted that better. Because I thought it was weird that it's spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched this past week's NXT show, but at the end of the NXT title match, Braun Breaker won his match, and then Tyler Bate, who was the first ever NXT UK champion, is now the current NXT UK champion. Tyler Bate came out and they had a face off, and they're each holding their respective championship up. What was weird about that is because right now, if you go by the TV schedule, and again, it's taped, so the NXT UK title is vacant. The former champion got injured, and they had to vacate the title. So the title was vacant, and they were having a tournament on NXT TV for the championship. If you go by TV, Tyler Bate hadn't won yet. But since it was taped, he had already won the championship, and then he shows up live on NXT on Tuesday. And I thought that was really weird. And then also they had several other NXT UK talent show up. Bea Priestley, who is the girlfriend of Will Ospreay, she goes by Blair Davenport in NXT, and she said she cut a little promo, said she was going to be the next NXT Women's Champion, so she's going to be on there. And then they announced that there was going to be some sort of Worlds Collide type special with talent from both rosters. I think that's going to be more of a unification type thing. I think they're going to unify the NXT UK women's tag team and world title belts. That's just where it feels like it's going, because they didn't, like you said, they did announce there was going to be NXT Europe, which will supposed to begin sometime in 2023. I know in September of this year is when NXT UK is going to take a hiatus. So they're currently releasing talent. You said it was up to what, 15?
Yeah. Yep.
The last name that I saw was Trent Seven, who was part of Mustache Mountain with Tyler Bate. They were former tag team champions. But yeah, several people have gotten released. Some talent, some really talented people. But I do like the idea of NXT Europe. It makes more sense to encompass more. Shawn Michaels said he would like to see WWE have a bigger presence in like Italy and France and stuff like that. And because they already have, like you said, they already have a good presence in Germany. But other countries in Europe, they don't have as good of a presence. And I think it'll give talent in those countries an opportunity to be seen.
Yep. I mean, and they have events in the country. It's just not as many as what they do in Germany.
Yeah.
And of course Germany is where Mick Foley lost his ear. But just figured I'd just kind of throw that in there for just useless trivia. But you were saying earlier, but I mean, this kind of does fit with the WWE being such an international brand. Think about, I'm going to guess this was the main event just the other night on Raw. And if it wasn't a main event, it could have been a main event anywhere. But it was Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
You had a French Canadian, and a Scotsman.
Mm-hmm.
And from the highlights I saw, that match.
I watched it. It was fantastic. It was like, that was an amazing match. The promos were amazing. You can tell that been let off the leash because these were more, you could tell these were more from the heart promos
Yeah.
than the scripted stuff that they've had to endure forever.
And that's one of the things, and I know we kind of go back to, well, Vince is no longer there. Let's see what happens when you unchain everybody. And they're showing
Mhm.
that Vince was making the product more fake.
Yeah.
Whereas now they're making it lean more towards real. Doesn't
Yep.
matter if it's predetermined. You
Yeah,
know,
it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all.
And when they're showing Kevin Owens and Drew just talking smack to each other in the ring,
Yeah.
Shut up, nobody wants to hear you talk.
Yeah.
And he's like, you've been talking too much, talking for 3 years. And but I'm looking at some of the other names on here, on the roster. And you have I know Damian Priest. I mean, he was born in New York, but I mean, he's of Puerto Rican descent. Think about that. Judgment Day.
Mhm.
It's Puerto Rican, an Irishman, and an Australian woman.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking like,
Yeah, you've got Dakota Kai, who is from New Zealand.
Yep.
Trying to think who else. Like you said, Kevin Owens, French Canadian.
Robert Roode, Canadian.
Robert Roode, Canadian. Sami Zayn, French Canadian.
Yep. Amos, Nigerian.
Yep. Maurice, French Canadian.
Yep. Edge, Canadian.
Yep.
There's some of the other ones that I'm Bobby Lashley, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I just forgot. Just threw it in there.
Just toss that in there. Yeah.
Akira Tozawa, and this is just the Raw roster. This
it
isn't even the SmackDown roster. You want to go to and that's just the males. I mean, well, most of them. I know you named some of the females also.
Mm-hmm.
Asuka from Japan, Becky Lynch, Ireland. Dakota Kai, you said was from New Zealand. Dewdrop, Scotland.
Nikki Cross. I can't call her Nikki ASH. It's Nikki Cross. And Nikki Cross is Scottish.
Her real name is Nicola Glenn Cross.
Mm-hmm.
So just go with Cross to get rid of it.
They did tweak her character. Well, they did tweak her character a little bit. She's got her superhero costume is black now.
Yeah, which looks a lot. I can deal with the black one. I like that one.
Dewdrop got rid of the cape, gave her a leather jacket to match hers. So they're working on it. But
you mean the two women from Scotland? They're actually going to have them as a team?
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk it?
And rumor has it that Dewdrop may be going back to Piper Niven, which is because she was also in NXT UK for a while. So was Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley was the second ever NXT UK Women's Champion.
Dewdrop. Her real name is Kimberly Benson. Okay. Not really that's not a name that grabs you.
Yeah.
But it's a real name, so you can't dog on it. Let's see. I know Butch.
Pete Dunne.
Yep, Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne. But that group alone, you got Rich Holland.
Yep.
You've got Sheamus, and you got Pete Dunne.
Yep. Walter or Gunther, whatever whatever floats your boat.
Yep.
Humberto, you got a couple guys from Mexico on the SmackDown roster.
Yeah.
Okay, Jinder Mahal, who is Canadian, but he's playing a guy who's supposed to be from India. Because he has heritage from India.
Yeah.
He speaks 3 languages at least: English, French, and Hindi. So Kofi from Ghana.
Yep.
Even though he had a fake Jamaican accent for a little bit, and they said he was not Jamaican but Jafaican. That was awesome. Let's see. And Shinsuke, of course, from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see for the women. And I really wish they actually had their countries listed on this article, but they don't.
Natalia's Canadian.
Yep, Natalia's Canadian. Raquel Rodriguez, is she?
She's of Hispanic descent.
Yes.
Mhm.
She was born in Texas. There you go. Close
Mhm.
enough.
Yep.
Um, Shotzi. Isn't Shotzi from somewhere?
Shotzi is crap. I knew it and I just
Real
lost it.
name Ashley Zerbansky. She's from California.
Yeah, but she is
Or Urbanski sounds somewhere in like Eastern Europe. Oh, Filipino and Polish.
yeah, yes,
Filipino.
she's
Wow.
Filipino. I was
Okay.
gonna say because her and as far as I know, her and Batista were like the only two
Or Filipino
pe-
wrestlers, or
yeah.
okay. Xia Li,
Yeah,
who's Chinese.
Japan.
Well, no, she's Chinese.
Chinese. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
because she's like the only Chinese wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I haven't even gotten to the NXT roster yet, but I mean, you can tell. I mean, there's just they're from all over the place, and so
Yeah, it's an extremely diverse roster. So, it makes more sense to encompass, more of the countries that you have wrestlers representing those,
mhm.
those countries. And I think I don't think it's a bad idea, especially with Vince not being the creative, force behind it.
Yeah,
Because I think it was one of those, like I said before, I think his idea was to cripple the British wrestling scene. Once he thought he had done that, then the toy wasn't new anymore, and he moved on to something else.
right. And speaking of British wrestlers, Paige, her birthday is today. She turned 30.
Yep. First ever NXT Women's Champion.
Yep. And she was the youngest. Well, I think it was still Divas at the time, but
It was.
she deserved better than that. But
Yeah.
they all deserve better than that. But
Yeah.
but I like Paige because she's from Norwich, and I'm pretty sure she's all about Norwich City, on the ball city. That's right. Anyway, but now that they've released, I don't want to say trim the fat, but I mean they've thinned out the roster some, and it
Mhm.
does feel like they're kind of wanting to start fresh. Okay, let's move away from the UK name, even though they're
Yeah.
going to have UK, and let's start getting people from the rest of mainland Europe, and it makes me think they already have people in mind.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure Triple H has people in mind, because and like I said, they've moved several of the top talent to regular NXT to work with and work with that roster. So yeah, I feel like Triple H has probably had his eye on some people in other countries for a while, and they decided to go this route. I hope that they bring back the old European Championship
Yes,
as the top title for. I mean,
for Europe.
it's
Yeah.
in NXT. NXT Europe. The top title should be the European Championship.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the European Championship defended in Cincinnati. I want to see it defended in Europe.
Exactly. Yes.
Just like I wouldn't want to see the U.S. Championship defended in London.
Yeah.
That needs to be defended here.
Right.
Yeah. Now the Intercontinental Championship, that's just pretty much anywhere on the continent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
right.
But either way, I mean, well, it'd be on. I'm going to say North America, or is it encompass in North America and South America? Actually, no, I have to say South America because it was first. Because Pat Patterson won it, he worked his butt off to win it in that tournament in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil.
Yeah, because he was the.
I mean, that took blood and guts what he did.
Yeah, they just combined the North American and South American championships that they had for some reason, and made the Intercontinental title.
Yes, and if Pat Patterson was still with us, he would tell you about all the matches he had.
Oh yeah,
to win that title.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, well, y'all just got to go look it up.
Yeah, you have to Google it. It's a good story.
it is a very good story. But yeah, so the Intercontinental Championship, I'm going to guess it was encompassing North and South America.
Mm-hmm.
So the Americas, all of them,
Yep.
and probably Central America too. People
Probably,
forget about
yeah.
Central America because there's a little bitty sliver,
Yeah.
a few countries down there that are part of Central America. Couldn't name them all because my geography is not. I'm pretty decent with geography, but I know I'd miss some of them.
Mhm.
I think Panama. I think is considered Central America.
Yes.
Maybe
Yeah.
I think maybe Belize.
That one I'm not sure.
Yeah. See, now I'm going to have to go look it up after we're done. For those of you scoring at home, now you're going to be curious too. Go figure out which countries are South America, which countries are Central America. We know that the only three there's only three in North America.
Hmm.
So, but anyway, do you think that the UK or the NXT Europe wrestlers of talent that will be starting to be featured on the American premium live events, or maybe the thing, the Clash at the Castle, maybe a way of starting to introduce more of that?
Could be, because I know they did say that they wanted, like, Triple H and Shawn Michaels have said that they want a more seamless connection between the brands. Like from NXT to the main roster, they want a more seamless transition to the main roster, and a more seamless entry into the developmental system and then coming through to the main roster. So it could be that they're going to use some of those talents, on premium live events to get more exposure, because they're going to have to do something to get the fresh talent exposed to the masses.
Well, I think this will give more chance to also have, if they want to do it. I mean, because I think the Clash in the Castle is going to be their first paper live event. I can't say premium. It's just a weird name for me still.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I'm still paying for the Peacock Network, so I'm still paying to watch that thing.
Yeah. So it's still pay-per-view.
It's still pay-per-view. So there you go.
Exactly.
So this will give them a chance to possibly do a pay-per-view in like a Germany, because I mean they're already doing them in Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
As controversial as what that is, they're already doing them there. They've done one in Australia.
Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't done more in Australia.
I don't either. Yeah, they did that one Super Showdown in Australia, and then they haven't done a big show there since. So
yeah, I mean, and I thought that one was a good show.
Yeah.
There was no controversy surrounding it.
No, there was none, and that's where Buddy Murphy won the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah, and now that's kind of 205 Live. Is that even still going on?
No, nope, it's gone. There's always a Cruiserweight title. They unified it with the North American Championship in NXT. Roderick Strong was the last. Roderick Strong was the last NXT, because it was just the WWE Cruiserweight Championship when they brought it back.
Right.
And then they ended up making it part of NXT. Roderick Strong was the last NXT Cruiserweight champion. He faced Carmelo Hayes, and Carmelo Hayes beat him. So technically, Carmelo Hayes is the final champion, and they just unified the titles.
And yeah, 205 Live, and that could almost be a totally separate podcast talking about the cruiserweights or junior heavyweights, whatever they want to call them.
We should definitely do that, because that's the cruiserweights, junior heavyweights, whatever, like you said, whatever you want to call them, have a very important history in pro wrestling.
Yes. So mark that. Well, I can't say in your calendar because we don't know when.
Yeah.
But for the future, we're going to have a show about junior heavyweights.
Yeah.
And you know who would agree with me on that statement?
Ted
would agree, because Ted, I mean, even though he is all about the heels, but there's been a lot of great junior heavyweight heels.
Yes.
Actually, you know what? Jericho and Eddie Guerrero both held the cruiserweight title in WCW as heels.
Yes. Dean Malenko as well.
Dean Malenko, yes. I mean, he is so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, but Ted will tell you, I mean, he would agree with it. And you know what? Ted might actually beat us to it, because
he might. Yeah.
Yeah. Ted's very innovative. And if you haven't listened to his insight, go listen to The Heel Truth on a lot of the audio platforms. I know he's on Apple Music because that's where I listen to him at. And you can always find him on Twitter at the Hillbilly. You know what? Hold on. He's the Hillbilly Hill, and I always manage to screw up his handle. I don't know why, but I somehow do. But Ted is he's been a huge supporter of ours, and
Yes, he has.
Yep, and we love to return the favor. And he doesn't just support us. It's at Hillbilly Hill. He doesn't just support us. I mean, if you see him, I mean, he gives shout outs to a lot of podcasts.
Oh yeah.
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 You know, and he did it on his last episode, and he was just rattling them off. And I heard at Booking Armchair, I heard at Fat_Daddy73, and then a couple names later, I heard Cubicle Chat. So, I mean, he's been a big supporter of ours and just a good man. And you know, we talk about our wrestling empire. He's going to be, you know, he might as well say,
yeah,
he's got it going.
Yeah, he's got his own empire going, but
Yeah.
he's, you know, he's a great guy. Definitely check out his podcast. It's, you know, you get so much knowledge anytime you talk to him. There's just so much knowledge that you get.
Yeah, because I mean, I think, okay, we got a lot of stuff covered, and then he'll put his own commentary on, and I'm like, man, why didn't I think, man? I mean,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
But yeah, so definitely go check him out. You know, a great guy all around. And thank you, Ted, you know, for all the shout outs.
Yes,
and we'll
thank you.
continue to do your shout outs as well. So but as we were saying about NXT UK and then 405 Live or 305 Live or whatever, 205 Live, 205. Yeah, because 205 pounds. I had to think about
they changed it now. It's like it's like an extension of it's kind of like what AEW Dark is for AEW. Now it's called NXT Level Up. It's for like a lot of the really green talent.
Okay.
Gives them giving them a platform.
That is a great idea. I mean, because I do like how on Dark, and we've known some people, you know, Nikki Victory, Lord Crew, Nasty Russ in particular, they have actually, you know, NWF products, and they've been on AEW Dark. And in fact, I know Crew and Nikki Victory have been on there multiple. They were just on there recently. I haven't watched the matches yet, but they were on there recently.
Yeah.
And, you know, so, I mean, I like that idea how they're bringing, and not just like they did in Raleigh on SmackDown last week, where they brought these two enhancement guys in, and you knew they're just about to get killed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they did, you know, because I believe it was the Viking Raiders who came in. And yeah, War Machine, is a good name. I do like it. You know, Viking Raiders, I actually like that name too, though. Viking Experience, I think is kind of stupid sounding.
Yeah, that was dumb. Well, it's like they were War Machine like everywhere else. And then when they got to NXT, they were the War Raiders. I'm like, okay, I can kind of, I can still hang with that. But then it's like the Viking Raiders, and it's like they're leaning in so heavily on the Viking thing.
Right.
It's like, that's why you should have just left the War Machine, and they could have just did what they did everywhere else and just maul people. I mean, they've won tag team gold everywhere. IWGP, Ring of Honor, NXT, Raw. I think SmackDown's the only tag titles they hadn't had yet.
And you know what? I'm glad to see them because there for a little bit they were who was that team? The Ascension that were killing it in NXT, and they brought them to the main roster, and they were just jobber to the stars.
Yep.
Like the entire time they were there.
Yeah.
And I hated that for them because I mean they were a good team. Well, the Viking Raiders, I saw they were kind of doing the same thing with them. They were coming out big. I mean, bigger than Ascension. I mean, and tougher, and still getting beat. So I think this is another Triple H influence because they kind of fit like his style, you know, more dominant.
Yeah. And plus Triple H is a fan of tag teams too. So he's a fan of tag team wrestling. So that's always a good sign, because we all know Vince did not like tag team wrestling at all. And
more people to pay.
Yeah.
It
Only
was
focus.
It was more people to pay.
It was more people to pay. And he didn't want to do that. And plus he said that wrestling was a single star business, which is not true. Everybody is not going to be the world champion.
Right.
Not everybody's going to be at that level. Not everybody wants to be at that level. Some guys are like FTR, and their goal is to be the absolute best tag team in the world. And some guys can be a world champion and still be in one of the best tag teams, because Jay Briscoe did it twice.
Mm-hmm. And two of the former guests we've had on our show have both been ranked in the top. Well, in fact, I want to say Buff was what, number 40? I think we said in the
I believe
PWI
so.
500.
He's top. He was in the top 50. Yeah.
Yeah, but tag team, I mean, he was always up there for tag team of the year.
Yeah.
He was always in the running. Wildcat Chris Harris, same thing. He was in the PWI 500. I
Yeah.
don't think he was as high as Buff, but he was in the 2004 Pro Wrestling Illustrated Tag Team of the Year.
Yep. Exactly.
You know, so to me, that's pretty credible. I mean, I
Yeah.
just read, the Sports Review Wrestling before PWI. I just read that from 1979, and actually, I didn't even read the runner-ups for the Tag Team of the Year, but I mean, these are still big awards. I mean, you have
Yeah.
the Usos, who are a great team, and they're improving all the time.
Yeah.
You know, because they're 1D finishing move. I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta admit, I like it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, like Chris
but-
Harris, was able to hold 6 times, mind you, my personal favorite tag team title of any company. It's the NWA World Tag Team title.
Yeah.
And when I think of those belts, I think those are Tully and Arn's belts, and Chris Harris and James Storm held those 6 times.
Tully and Arn, the Midnights, the Rock and Rolls, the Russians.
Yep.
I mean, the Road Warriors. I mean, God,
The Road Warriors, the Steiners, Doom. I mean, just the list of greats that have held the NWA World Tag Team titles, the Freebirds.
yes. I mean, but anyway, we've kind of gone off track.
Yeah.
That's what we do. I'm very curious to see, because I am actually going to change up the subject here in a second anyway. But I just want to say about the NXT UK, all the news we've heard about today. I'm very curious to see, we know the direction they want to take it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think they already have stuff set, because they're like, okay, we're going to become Europe, but they haven't mentioned any names, but they've released a bunch of names, which means that, they probably had these names for a while.
Oh yeah.
And and if you notice, none of them that I've seen have been bitter by it.
No, everybody that I've seen that has released statements about their releases have seemed appreciative of the time that they got in WWE in NXT UK. Several of them are like, this is just a bump in the road, but I appreciate the experience and the things I was able to learn and the things I was able to do. So that's a good sign. Doesn't seem to be any, bitterness. I mean, nobody likes to lose their job, but it doesn't seem like this is one of those where this doesn't really seem to be more like a budget cut type thing, and more of this roster is going on hiatus. We're gonna use this many, but unfortunately, we've got to let some people go.
Right. This is more of an overhaul.
Yeah.
And from the sounds of it, I don't think we're going to be getting the tweets that say, yeah, old Clown Shoes sent me a text.
Yes. They sent me a text and said, sorry, kid, your services are no longer needed.
Yeah. And if y'all don't know who Clown Shoes is, check out our previous episodes because we've actually referred to somebody as Clown Shoes. Anyway, I do want to change the subject because of another text that you sent to me with some other news, and my reaction was, I'm not surprised. And I will pull up the news article right now that you sent to me. Well, what was this last one you sent to me? Okay, the complete list of NXT UK.
Yeah, that was the latest list of releases that was the last list I'd seen. But then Trent Seven reportedly got released, and I don't think he was on that list.
Okay, so Fightful. Sources familiar with the situation claim CM Punk has often verbally expressed his displeasure, including so blatant that they thought he might end up quitting. One veteran said they heard of threats being levied. What the hell is happening? That's the tweet right there.
They said that people were afraid that he wasn't going to show up last week because he made his return last week after Moxley defended the title against Jericho. CM Punk came out after that match was over, but people were afraid that he wasn't going to show up. Here's the issue. I was a big CM Punk fan. Not to say that I'm not a fan now as far as the character and the in-ring work and the mic skills. Package-wise, I'm a CM Punk fan, but I feel like that he's creeping into Bret Hart territory where it's like, here is the gimmick.
Yep.
But he's starting to believe his own hype, because I felt that way about Bret. He kind of got to the point where it was like his ego got so big, it's like he started believing the gimmick. And I feel like CM Punk is doing the same thing. And the thing is, he comes back, and that's why like all of these promos that like Hangman Page and MJF cut on him during their feuds are starting to age like fine wine, because both of them were basically saying, CM Punk comes into AEW, he talks about, I want to work with all the young talent and help them get to the next level and all that. But then come to find out, he tells people backstage that basically he was refusing to lose to Hangman Page. CM Punk's one of those, he can dish it out, but he can't take it. Like he can cut a pipe bomb promo on everybody. Tremendous promos. The dude's always been a tremendous promo. But if somebody else pipe bombs him, he can't take it, and he gets his feelings hurt, and he gets upset. He got upset at some stuff Hangman Page said in some of the promos that they were doing leading up to their match. And it's like, dude, you can't fire off at somebody and then they give you a promo back and then you get upset. It doesn't work that way. And like you said earlier, if he's not in the spotlight, then he's whining.
Yep.
And it's another one of those cases. I hate to see that, but that's absolutely what it seems like is happening. It's like I think he has walked in and been like, well, this company can't survive without me. The company formed without you. They were doing great without you. They can survive without CM Punk. It's because, especially since, dude, you've been gone for 7 years. You're lucky somebody hired you at this point to begin with.
Yep. And it was oddly enough, it was kind of Tony Khan in a way pulling a VKM move where he brought in a huge name for the pop, and he got ratings, and I watched, and that pop was
the pop was huge.
Yeah. I mean, that was Road Warrior type pop. But I even said then, I was like, I wonder how long it's going to be before he becomes what, I mean, I'll even say Kyle was when I first heard him call him a malcontent, because he's always been that disgruntled employee.
Yep.
Because if it doesn't go his way, if the world doesn't revolve around him, he starts whining. And it's like, dude, not everything revolves around you. And like you said, great matches, great wrestler.
Yeah. Well, just like when he was in WWE, some of his complaints I get, like the being irritated that he never got the main event WrestleMania, but the Miz got the main event WrestleMania. And I understand that, because we're not talking about 2022 Miz. We're not talking about this guy that, I would not look out of place in a WrestleMania main event. We're talking about the one where he was the third wheel in his championship feud with John Cena because they were just using that to piggyback and build toward The Rock. I get that, but he said in interviews recently where that he was, basically didn't have any success in WWE. Dude, you were the WWE champion for 434 days.
Yes.
Okay, do I get the frustration that you kept getting booked to lose the part-timers? That part I completely understand because he had to drop the title to Rock so that Rock could defend it against Cena. He lost to The Undertaker at WrestleMania, which was The Undertaker's last great WrestleMania match. Like I said, some grievances he had, but then some stuff was just ego-driven.
Mm-hmm.
And then him just walking out of the company, it's like, dude, you're no better than anybody else. He got mad when they ripped him a new one on air because he left. They did Austin the same way when Austin left. And Austin's the biggest star in pro wrestling history.
Yeah.
And they did Austin the same way. That you're not special. Are you talented? Absolutely. But you're no more special than the next wrestler. And right now, he's the AEW World Champion. My original idea was with the unification thing was to have Punk beat Moxley, MJF come back and beat Punk. After all this has come out, my thoughts have changed. I need Mox to beat Punk, get the belt off Punk, because they can still do the feud with MJF and Moxley.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have history, because they feuded over the world title before. Punk does not need to be in a position, if he's going to be a disgruntled employee, then he doesn't need to have any added benefits. As like I tell my kids, I'm not rewarding bad behavior.
Exactly.
If you're going to be a disgruntled employee, I'm not making you the face of my company. I'm not making you my world champion.
Right. And he doesn't. He understands it. He just doesn't want to agree with it because he thinks that, well, why, it should be all about me.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, like I said, when we did that watch along of the Punk and Cena match, that's the first time I'd ever watched it. I made sure when we first talked about doing the watch along, I was like, I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to make sure because everything that way the reaction's fresh.
Right.
And that was a just phenomenal match.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you have two guys who can have good matches with anybody, and then you put them together. Yeah. So the talent levels there, when he had the audience in the palm of his hand during that one Royal Rumble where he came out.
Yes, he was eliminating people and then still cutting a promo in between eliminations. Yes.
Yeah. That character was, great.
Yeah.
And then, we don't know. Sometimes you got to say the politics. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Unfortunately, politics is a part of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Miz got that touch because the Miz learned, because Miz wasn't always like this, because we heard the Miz had to dress inside a public bathroom for a year or whatever it was because of locker room etiquette. The Miz learned and he got humbled. And so he learned when to shut his mouth, whereas CM Punk has still not learned that.
Yeah.
Even after 7 years away.
Well, and it's like he cut a promo last night. I didn't get a chance today to watch Dynamite. I'm going to watch it tomorrow. But I have been seeing, he's been one of the trending topics on Twitter all day.
Yeah.
And not in a good light.
Right.
He cut, basically they're saying he went into business for himself, cut a promo on Hangman and was challenged Hangman to a world title match right there last night, knowing that Hangman couldn't respond to it because I don't even think Hangman was there, and then cuts a negative promo on him when he doesn't accept the challenge. And it's like, if you're going into business for yourself, then there's no place for that in wrestling. Going into business for yourself, yes, you are a big star, but you're not bigger than the business. And I feel like that his ego has gotten to the point to where he thinks he's bigger than the business. And he's just not. I think they need to get the world title off him as quick as they can because the longer he holds on to it, if this type of attitude keeps up, that negativity is going to carry over to your championship, and it's going to tarnish the short legacy of your title. And you've had great champions this entire time. You do not want to the company's only been around 3 years. They've had great champions so far. You don't want to tarnish the reputation of your championship by having a mouthy employee as your champion.
Yeah.
Not mouthy in character. This is him.
No.
This is Phil Brooks
Yes.
being mouthy, backstage and, complaining about, different things that he's been asked to do or whatever. It's like, go to work, do your job.
Yeah. And when you compare him to Bret Hart, that I think I'd never even crossed my mind, but I think that is like a perfect comparison, because Bret Hart, I get that Goldberg, more or less ended Bret Hart's career.
But it wasn't on purpose.
But it wasn't on purpose.
No.
And Bret's still talking about it.
He's still bitter about it. And Goldberg has even said, I'm done apologizing. He's like, I've been apologizing, since 1999 when it happened. And he's like, I'm not apologizing anymore. He can either accept the apology and
or shut up.
Yeah, that's basically what he was saying. He said he can either accept the apology and we can kind of mend that bridge, and come to a common ground, or he can just stop talking about it. But he said, but I'm done apologizing. It was nothing on purpose. It was just, an accidental kick. I mean, stuff happens. Look at draws. I mean, that,
yes,
he got paralyzed in a match, purely accidental.
And he does not hold D'Lo responsible. And I think he pretty much self-ended his career not long after that, because he couldn't take that, it was an accident, but another wrestler got paralyzed, because of a move he did, and it wasn't even his fault. But D'Lo, has always been right there. If any draw, he's stayed in touch with draws, from what I understand.
Yep.
Because they'd done that move 100 times before and was fine.
Yeah.
That one time they were off about that much, and boom. Draws isn't bitter.
Nope.
He kind of wishes he would have kept wrestling, but he's like, why be bitter?
And I think the bitterness with Bret too, it goes beyond Goldberg. I think the bitterness was he's still bitter about what happened in Montreal. Did he get screwed over? Yes. But at the same time, Bret was being ridiculous too.
He was being childish. It's all about me.
Yeah, because he did not want to drop the title in Canada. He didn't want to drop it to Shawn. He said he'd be willing to come out on live TV and forfeit the title as long as he didn't have to lose it to Shawn or lose it in Canada.
And especially not losing it to Shawn in Canada.
Yeah, and Ted DiBiase, Ted DiBiase said in the interview one time, he said, should it have gone down the way it did? No. But Bret needs to take some responsibility of putting those wheels in motion to get the belt off of him, because Bret was already planning to leave. So he's like, Ted DiBiase said, it doesn't matter where you lose it. You do the job on your way out the door.
Yes.
So Bret should have just done the job on his way out and lost the title. So Bret needs to take some responsibility for that too. But Bret is still extremely bitter, and it's all about Bret.
Exactly.
And I hate to see that, because he's one of the greatest wrestlers ever.
Oh, absolutely. That's another one, another watch along we did, him and Bulldog in Wimbledon.
Yep.
One of probably the greatest SummerSlam match ever. Arguably so.
Yeah.
But when you say Bret it's all about Bret. You hear all these backstage things about him. Apparently one time there was a meeting, it was just the normal wrestlers meeting. They were talking about upcoming stuff. And Bret said, well, what about this? And how's it going to make my character? What about this? And finally the Undertaker stood up and said, look, Mother plus Bucket, not everything is about you.
Exactly.
And, you hear these stories about, Well, every wrestler, that Vince says, all right, everybody, you have to show up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, Brett wouldn't show up till like 4.
Yeah.
They said he was notoriously late, not just a little late either. I mean, it's like, well, I'm going to do it on my own time.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that right there, he thinks once again, it's all about me.
Yep.
Just like CM Punk. Well, it's all about me.
Yeah.
And Brett, biggest wrestler in the world at the time, but he wasn't getting his way. And, he didn't want to give the title up, and which he knew. He grew up in the wrestling business. He knew.
He knows the tradition. He grew up, like you said, he grew up in the business. He knew the right way to go out. But
he didn't want to do it.
He didn't want to do it because he didn't want, like I said, his ego got in his way.
Yeah.
But he is equally at fault for what occurred at Survivor Series 97 as Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Because if he hadn't let his ego get in the way, that ball never would have started rolling.
And I think Vince, one of the big reasons he did it, he looked at Brett like, this is my company.
Yes, and that is my championship.
Yes.
And he had already had a wrestler show up on WCW television and literally throw one of his championships in the trash.
Yep.
He was not taking a chance on having his top prize go to the competition and get devalued on worldwide television.
And the ironic thing about them not wanting Brett to come out and just hand the title over to Shawn, Vince hated that because Shawn did it twice and it did not go over very well. So it's kind of ironic that.
Yeah, Shawn was a 3-time WWE champion, and he forfeited, he's forfeited the world title and the Intercontinental title.
Yep. So he had a reputation of somebody who did not want to do the job.
No.
And, so after Shawn won that title in Montreal, and then of course, when he lost it to Stone Cold, Undertaker's of course sitting in the back going, yeah, you know what to do, because I'm just going to be sitting back here with my fist tape.
I'll be waiting for you at Gorilla when you come through the curtain.
Yep. So the pinfall happened. He took the tape off, and all right. But I digress, because we're talking about Punk. But like you said, the comparison to Bret Hart is there. Bret Hart, unfortunately, his legacy over the past however many years has been known as a bitter. He's become a bitter old man. He's just bitter about everything.
Yep.
Punk, when Punk did the podcast with Colt Cabana, and I listened to it, and I was like, okay, he's got some valid points. And then WWE, they redid some of the pay-per-view footage from the Royal Rumble to show CM Punk's back a lot, because he was claiming he had this big staph infection that was his purple mass on his back, and they're going, there is nothing there
like, where
on his
is
back.
Yeah.
So,
and it's just sad because Punk, like I said, package wise is like a rare talent. It's still rare in wrestling to have someone tick every single box, and he does. But I just, at this point, if that's the attitude that he's going to have, especially with Hangman Page, who nobody has a bad word to say about Page. He is like one of the most well-liked wrestlers in AEW or any other locker room he's ever wrestled, that he's ever been a part of. And I think Punk is I think he's bitter because, right after he won the title, he broke his foot, so he couldn't wrestle. And then he was probably sitting at home watching Jon Moxley become the interim champion and skyrocket. So he's probably bitter that he hasn't been the focus because of injury. And so now he's just going to cut off his nose to spite his face just so he can get the attention that he thinks he deserves.
And I want to say, when he's cutting a promo going, what about me? What about Raven? Well, Raven, it was just a character. With CM Punk,
with CM Punk, like I said, I was a huge CM Punk fan, but my wife has never been, because I think she saw through that and saw what we're seeing now.
Yeah.
That he's just being a whiny brat about stuff.
Yeah. And like I said, I didn't want it to happen, but I was kind of going, let's see, because I think I even called it on our show.
You
we'll
did.
see, because
Yep.
he's already had a pattern of
Mhm.
I want to tell him, kind of like you want to tell Taylor Swift, maybe it's you. It's
Yeah.
not everybody else.
It could be you.
It
Well,
could
just
be
like
you.
when he was feuding with Eddie Kingston, a lot of those promos that they had, that stuff that Eddie Kingston was saying, it's like the more, because I've gone back and watched some of those clips since I saw this stuff today, and it's like, I think Eddie was on to something, and we thought
Eddie
it was.
Kingston, he's pretty real when he does. His
Oh yeah,
promos.
yeah.
I mean, you hang on his words.
Yeah, I love Eddie Kingston. I wish that I hope Mox beats Punk, unifies the titles, MJF beats Mox, and then Eddie Kingston beats MJF. Even if Eddie Kingston only holds the title for a week, that is vindication
Yes.
for everybody who has ever said that Eddie Kingston was never going to amount to anything in pro wrestling. And it is a testament to his probably 23, 24-year career of, busting his butt and being one of the realest people in wrestling.
Yes, very comparable to Mick Foley.
Absolutely.
And they told Foley he would never, and he did it. But before we wrap it up, because we are going to have to wrap it up here, because once we get going, we get going.
Yeah, y'all know we can talk for hours about wrestling. It's kind of like our thing.
And I will have to remember what Stephanie McMahon said about Punk when they were in Chicago, when of course the crowd's chanting CM Punk, and she's like, yeah, you do that for another 37 seconds, you'll last longer than what he did in his UFC fight.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's like burn. Yeah, it was true. So, but I will make the announcement that next week, because we won't be recording Monday, because I have some, training I'm doing, because my side hustle, where I'm trying to learn how to be a personal financial planner, so I'm doing some training with that. And it just happens to be taking place from 6 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. So that's going to cut right into that. But it's one of the things is kind of important I do, because I'm also going to do it all weekend.
Oh, wow.
From 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 at night on Saturday and Sunday, and then going. So, and I actually took Monday off of work, so I can also kind of study up the stuff I've been doing, and then go back, because I need to schedule an exam, because it's actually a licensing exam for this part is to sell life insurance. You have to be licensed to do it. And so that's what I was training. But next Thursday, we have it on our calendars, and it appears that we are going to have Kyle back. He's going to make an appearance on the show.
Cool.
And I believe the topic is going to be Arn Anderson, because I think his birthday is like the next day.
Awesome.
And Arn Anderson is one of those you could talk about for a very long time.
Oh yeah, Arn Anderson is easily in my top 10 favorite wrestlers ever.
Yeah, well, Arn Anderson, he is, and I actually kind of met him kind of sort of once in Gatlinburg, but he was like, I'm not Arn Anderson. And I was like, yeah, and I felt like that guy later on, because he's with his family. But anyway, definitely looking forward to that, because it'll be the first time all three of us, will be on the air at the same time. But in the meantime, any kind of feedback, like I said, email us at armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com, and hit us up on all the socials, and go like, share, subscribe if you're on Apple Music or Spotify. I know they're the ones who do the ratings. None of the others really do ratings, but they do ratings. And on Apple, you can also give a review. Give us a review. Let us know how we're doing. We like to know these things.
Yep.
It only helps us. So I cannot think of anything else to tell. Got myself a brand new old wrestling magazine, courtesy of my sister. First time she and my nephew, who I've, like I said, not seen in a while. I didn't realize he had a beard at 17 years old. But that was actually great having them on. But until we can talk again, my friend, God bless.
God bless.